to believe in yourself will inspire others. You're the only person that can tell your story. And actually, that story, whatever it is, whatever individual you are, will be inspiring to someone.
Welcome to the Tales to Inspire podcast. Before we get started on this episode, I would like to invite you to our community so that you can hear more stories to inspire change within your life and positive change within the systems in which we live. All I want you to do is to click on the subscribe button. Your comments mean the world to us with anything that's resonated with you, and I absolutely love your support. I can't wait to go on this journey alongside you. Thank you so much for subscribing. Let's get into today's episode. Today we go into a deep dive with Jon Berry.
I'm Jon Berry, and this is my tale to inspire.
Jonathan Berry, welcome to the Tales to Inspire podcast.
Thank you.
So we're going to jump straight into your story, and that really needs you to introduce yourself, who you are, where you're from, and we'll go from there.
Sounds exciting. I'm Jon Berry. I'm 48 this year, born in 1975 in Sutton Coldfield in the West Midlands, actually. So a Brummie originally. Brought up in a fairly typical family, actually, working class family, brother and sister, both older than me. My dad was mostly self-employed as a graphic designer and commercial artist. And my mum was a housewife and worked in various sort of shops during her life. So I had an amazing childhood, an amazing family, actually. But I had quite a tough start in life. I was born 11 weeks premature, so I was 2 pounds 7 ounces. My mum's blood group and my own blood group were conflicting, basically. So I had a blood transfusion in the womb, which meant I was hugely premature and was given like 20% chance of survival, I think. And I think that's always been a moment for me. It's the fact my mum and dad didn't get to hold me for maybe 4 or 5 weeks, and I was in an incubator. I've lived my life knowing that the chances of me being here relies on the care and passion and expertise of the people at that hospital. And that's always shaped, I guess, the way I've lived my life from that point. Because after that, I had an amazing upbringing, amazing childhood, loved school, had amazing friends, some of which I met at primary school, and they're still best friends today. So I think that difficult start just sort of pushed me, actually. I mean, obviously not aware of it. I can only be told the stories, but I think that's just made me appreciate things a lot more. And that's continued through my life, I guess.
With that being born 11 weeks early, did that have any health ramifications moving forwards?
I don't really know. I mean, I've reluctantly delved into it and looked at the health-related issues to being premature. I mean, I've had health issues through my life, but I've never associated it back with being premature, because I think trying to predict that, I think it's dangerous, and I think I've carried on doing that through my life. I've had a couple of key moments in my life where health has impacted me, but I go back to both of those points again, and it's just motivated me even more to carry on and do something different and make the most of it. And I've been relatively healthy overall, and I've reached a good old middle age. And I can still just about I can't touch my own toes, actually. That'd be lying.
It's all right, mate. I lost that skill at about 14 years old, so you're good there.
I got the tightest calves, hamstrings.
As a child, you talked about this childhood that you had that you really enjoyed. Did you have any ambitions or dreams for the future for yourself?
I think I was quite creative. I loved my own space. I loved being with people, but I loved making stuff. I can remember being really small, even like my first interactions with like Lego. I used to build whole cities and take over my parents' living room, and they must have been like trying to encourage me in my creativity. But I would definitely take stuff like beyond, this is sort of like normal level Lego. I'd be like, no, I want to build a city, not just a not just a small village. And so I really enjoyed having a sort of creative upbringing. And I think I don't know, I knew I wanted something out of life. I just knew I wanted to get as much out of it as I could, actually. I knew what, like, academically and sport-wise, I was always middle of the class. Right. It was always like amazing effort, but it was never sort of top or bottom in terms of grades or performance. But again, I was kind of happy with that. I kind of liked being the sort of, I don't know, almost the beige of the rainbow. You can like drift through life, not getting noticed too much, but actually that meant I kind of had a mixed, I got on well with teachers, I got on well with friends. I just did enough to trundle through, but I was happy, which I kind of liked. But I guess there was always something there which I knew I would never just sit back and not pursue an idea. I guess that's something I was keen on. I'd keep taking ideas forward. So yeah, I guess that's where I felt slightly different to some of my friends.
That makes sense. And I was at school recently and they were talking about supporting people in the middle of the road.
Yeah.
Now, I think I was probably more towards the bottom of the road as opposed to the middle. But then you get the people who are the elite in the class who get that support from their teachers or from their parents, because they're the creme de la creme. And you've got the people at the bottom of the class who, like me, kind of get that extra support because you need that extra support to kind of get yourself to the average. But the people in the middle of the road often get like left behind.
They do. And there's a lot of, there's a huge amount of creativity there. And for me, I remember like I hated maths, and I would be in tears at home because I couldn't understand some basic algebra, and I'd be saying to I don't think my parents could either. I was like, when am I going to use this in life? But because I'd been taken up a set in geography, I loved geography and the landscape, which is kind of what I do now as a living. It put me up in maths, and I just hated it, and I was really struggling. But for me, geography and the teacher I had just lived it. They would take us out, get us to look at stuff in person, and I understood it, and he made it exciting. Maths, because I couldn't get that connection with it. And again, that's probably changed the way I deal with people. Whatever I go to, whether it be like a meeting or an event, or even socially, I'll tend not to go over to the people in the room that are chatting and I can see are doing okay. I'll go straight to the person that's quiet or is like loitering by the bar because they're a bit nervous. And because I'm like, I recognise that's me. I always say I'm like I'm sort of an outgoing introvert where I pretend to be good in social situations where actually the inside of you is like, what am I doing here? I should be here. I can't talk to these people. I've got nothing in common. But I was like, it doesn't matter. You can still achieve stuff. Again, it's, you're blagging it slightly. It's like, you just got to go with it, do it, try it.
I think we've got a title for this podcast, blagging it, winging it with Jon Berry. So, Jon, on that, where does your journey go from there?
Well, I guess the main thing that happened to me, went to university, moved away from home, went to Cheltenham, which was an amazing town to live in. Really safe, beautiful town. Took me away from Birmingham, opened me up to a whole new cross-section of people. An amazing experience. One of the only people in my family to go to university, so felt that pressure. And loved it, as I say, but I definitely had the first signs of sort of ill health and anxiety at university, which I didn't really know was happening at the time. I had huge problems with like stomach disorders, panic attacks, and I couldn't really get to the bottom of it. I sort of masked it really, didn't really tell anyone. And that kind of shattered my university experience a little bit because I look back and regret that I didn't say something. I just threw more and more at it basically. I just got busier, threw exercise at it. And came out of university after 4 years, got a job, and carried on the same really. I was getting signs and symptoms that stuff wasn't all right mentally, and again, I decided to train for the London Marathon, so I threw a marathon at it. I joined like a rowing club. I mean, it's just ridiculous. I was working 8 a.m. till 8 p.m, and then I was just exercising whatever other time I had, trying to sort of respond to my body and sensations of stuff feels slightly not right. And then I guess one evening I got home from work about 6 o'clock, and I went upstairs to get changed, and then just that was it, boom. Sort of like I woke up maybe like 2:30 the next afternoon. I'd missed work, and my body had literally just said like, no, I'm done. And that was the start of maybe 6 months off work, where I couldn't walk 50 meters. I just got the most intense fatigue and anxiety. And I think at that point I went quite dark. It's like I just didn't see a way out of it. I'd had this amazing life, everything was amazing, my health felt like it was there, my work was there, my career was flying, and then that moment, just despair. I just didn't know what to do, basically. But then soon realised that I couldn't just sit at home on my own at that point. I'd moved to Manchester to work, which made it worse as well. I suddenly had a new community around me that I didn't know, a new location, and this had happened. So I sought help through the NHS and had an amazing consultant and clinical psychologist who very early, really, at that time, introduced me to mindfulness and further tests, and eventually got to the point where I got a diagnosis after about 8 years of CFS-ME, so chronic fatigue. And then started a whole journey of how to manage that. And it changed my life because I became able to manage it, and I recovered from it. But I was being told by a lot of support groups and online chat that I wouldn't.
Okay.
And I think that was one of the best lessons I ever had, was not to listen to all the other voices and predictions of what will happen to you in life, particularly in relation to health, because they were just like, you're going to have to rest, you're going to have to change your career and your aspirations. And I was like, no, I'm not doing that. I'm just going to change the way I look at my abilities, and I'm going to sort of pace my life so that I can still achieve what I want to do. I'm just going to have to do it in a slightly different way.
So chronic fatigue, for anyone out there who's never heard of it, or could you explain a little bit more about the diagnosis?
Yeah. I mean, it's still pretty vague. They don't know whether it's viral or where it's neurological, but it effectively creates the sense of extreme fatigue in the body. So for some people it's incredibly severe. So even the process of getting up in the morning would be enough to then mean that they're bedridden for the rest of the day. So you start to feel like you're losing physical muscle strength, but also it gives you neurological problems in terms of the functionality of your brain and thoughts. It can change diet and digestion. So it's a pretty all-encompassing sort of thing. The closest I've sort of experienced again since I've managed it was COVID, actually. So getting COVID was the first flashback to me of that sense of just feeling totally drained and consumed by something, and you weren't quite sure what it was. But yeah, it's pretty. I guess the hardest thing for people that get diagnosed with it is that, again, there's no cure, so they're presented with options of how to manage it, and I think that's the difficulty. It's you live with it and you manage it. You don't find a cure for it. But I guess the message is you can live an amazing life with it if you manage it correctly. So
you've been told 8 years. You've been told you've got chronic fatigue.
Yep.
You've said, I'm not listening to you guys. You may say, I've got to stop working in the place I need to work, or whatever. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do what I know is best and live your dream, that whatever that may be. So how did you go about managing the chronic fatigue in the next areas of where your journey goes?
I think I started listening to myself, my body, my mind. When I look back, I know that I was putting my body through absolute hell. I mean, it's like, if you think about it as a car, if I drove my car continually and not MOT'd it and not serviced it, the car would have stopped working. That's all I'd done. As a human, I was just throwing more and more at myself. And so I looked at that, and then I started to live every day with a sort of understanding of what my body wanted. And actually that was the great point for me to start saying, am I happy at work? Do I want to change the way I'm working? Have I got the balance right in my life? have I moved areas and totally disregarded the fact that I've lost like my community, I'd lost my sort of that's feeling connected to somewhere. And as soon as I started doing all that and checking in, that started to make me feel better straight away, because I knew I could start to do something about all these different things. And actually I was happy, I was kind of at peace with the fact that probably was going to live with chronic fatigue, but I actually became quite excited with, what can I do to just slowly improve this? How can I pace my life, pace my activities in a way which means I can still all achieve this and be healthy human? And actually we should all do it. You shouldn't see your body as this limitless being. It's like, actually it's got limits, and it's like, start to recognize that and don't be really honest with yourself of what stuff's good for it and what stuff's bad for it.
It's amazing what happens when you don't, and I know it sounds really simple, it's self-care.
Yeah.
When you don't look after yourself.
Oh yeah, massively.
Watch what happens to yourself.
Yeah.
And I'm the worst culprit for this. I'm all or nothing, and I will put myself into something, and I'm like, I don't want to, because I don't know whether that's just the mentality that I was brought up with sport, and it's kind of the whole way, or whatever that is. But I'm knackered. When I get to that point, I know I'm just like burnt out, and I can't get through it. But for someone like yourself, you've had that recognition, you've been able to support yourself.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's just with chronic fatigue. I think it's just a good habit to get into.
Oh yeah, definitely. Just a habit in life. I mean, I still do it. I still burn out because I must have a personality type that just goes after stuff. I can't, my mum potters. My mum will potter around the house in her mid-80s still. And I'm looking at her thinking, why are you doing that? Why are you still trying to clean the windows? But someone else could do that for you. But I look and I think there's something in there which means she wants to be busy. Mm-hmm. And I've got that, and I know I can't stop that. And so I do have occasions where I'll have small burnouts again, and I get warning signs, but it makes me smile now because I look at it and I'm like, yep, hi there, hi burnout, and I can kind of respond to it. But when I see it in other people, or I interact with other people now and I see that same thing happening with them, I'm the first to go over to them and be really brutally honest and say, you just need to check in and just, are you getting the balance right in your life? Are you happy doing that? Are you doing stuff for yourself? Because I can see exactly where they're going, and they're thinking this is the right path. I'm going to be fine. I'm only young, and it's a really nice opportunity to tell others what happened to you, so they don't do the same. Because I don't want other people to burn out. For me, it's helped shape my life, and actually, I think I have a better business and a better life for it. But if you can prevent it, and like you say, other people can just build it into their lives, I think it's so important. I'm a great believer you shouldn't have work and home. It should be life. And if you get that right, you'll get enough out of both to live a healthy, happy existence. And that's surely what we're all striving for.
I recently read a stat, I think we may have had a discussion about it, about the majority of our society work not connecting to their purpose. Yeah. And it's something that I really struggle to comprehend, because I cannot fathom working 75% of my life doing something I hate or I'm not interested in. I know. And I think that's where you just talked there, is like that connecting to who you are and why you do what you do is it's pretty important.
It really is. I mean, I come to work to enjoy it. I mean, that's why we created the business I created 14 years ago, Tyler Grange, was to create something that we enjoyed, had a better sense of community, and that it was there to enable others to thrive, really. And that all those came out of where I got to in my life to that point, because probably the things that, I'm not saying I didn't have them in my previous jobs, it's just I hadn't recognised the importance of them. So creating a business founded on that, which is what we went on to do, as just, I've wanted to create an atmosphere and a place where people can get that balance right between work and life, and just try and enjoy it, and because it's so important. It's really so important. Like you say, our purpose as a business is to get stuff done and to ensure everything thrives, our people, our projects, and our planet. And I truly believe that. It's like it's just about sort of nourishing everything around us, and hopefully we're hopefully kind of getting that right.
So before we got to Tyler Grange, what brought you up to the point where you said, I'm going to start this company and this is what I'm going to do? Was there a big turning point in life? Did anything happen, or was it like an opportunity came?
I think it was probably, there was a recession. So just before 2010, we went into recession. The business I was with at the time got acquired and we became part of a very large PLC. And I guess, again, that was another change for me, where we saw that culture of a small business get eroded quite quickly, and it felt very much like we were part of something much bigger, which, to be honest, opportunities did come with that, and for some people that was right. It gave them career progression. For me, it felt all of a sudden very sort of impersonal, very corporate, and I knew it wasn't for me, and I could see that there was 3 other people that I'd worked with very closely that were saying the same. And we got pretty excited about, should we do something ourselves? And we were like, actually, there couldn't be a worse time. It's a recession. Nobody's instructing anyone. But that excited us, because we're really going to have to graft to get this off the ground. And that was kind of exciting. We were like, come on. So we met around a table in someone's kitchen, and we're like, should we do it? Let's stick to what we're good at. So we're all environmental consultants. So ecology, landscape architecture, and arboriculture. Trees, that is, for those that don't want to say arboriculture. And we're like, let's stick to what we're good at, which is giving clients great advice about those subjects on difficult sites. But we were like, we want it to be enjoyable, and we want it to feel like we're part of the communities we're in. And that was kind of our starting point. We're like, let's go for it. And we resigned, and I think, I'd never thought about running my own business, but at the second we'd made that decision, I knew that I was with 3 other friends and colleagues that we were going to give it our damnedest. We're going to put everything into it, so there was a likelihood it could be successful, and that was the starting point. Probably in hindsight, probably didn't give it enough thought, just kind of went off that gut instinct of it feels right, and it felt exciting. But no great plan at that stage and no great strategy. It was like, let's work together, see where it goes.
Did you know who your target market was? Did you know how you were going to make money? Did you know, how much did you know where you were going to start, what you were going to do?
It was bare minimum. I mean,
seriously, wow.
I'd been put under restrictions when you leave a big PLC, which again, in hindsight, was a great thing, because we basically had to spend the first 3 months speaking to new clients. So the 4 of us would literally fill every day with meetings, lunches, coffee shops, and just forced ourselves to go out, and no matter how uncomfortable it was, I'd be driving across the country pretending that we'd already got an established business and a load of clients to buy someone lunch, knowing that lunch was coming straight out of my pocket, probably wouldn't result in any work. But I had to have the game face of like, this is, we're doing really well, we're growing. But it was great, because actually, that effort and that commitment of those first 3 months means that, I'd say that probably half the clients we've got still today came from those first 3 months of intense effort, where they liked the story, they liked our honesty. They were encouraged that we were offering something sort of personal. We were very much saying, look, this is us, this is why we started. We want to weave some other things into it, like we care about the communities we're in. We're going to work, 1 day a month, even when there's 4 of us, giving back to communities. We're going to do volunteering. We were really honest from the outset. We weren't going to work our birthdays. We're like, no one wants to work their birthday. We're going to have our birthdays off. And we started to soften that industry that had been very corporate up until that point. And then we all started to tell our, very personal stories, which is obviously really relevant to you. We would tell clients, we'd experienced burnout, we'd experienced sort of a misconception about the corporate world and what it might mean for us. And again, that honesty helped attract clients and helped people then want to join us, because they're like, I like what Tyler Grange represent. They're being really honest. It's they've been true to themselves. And so that's how it started, 4 people, and then we slowly started to attract people. And it kind of snowballed, really.
So one of the things there that really comes up to me is understanding is so important.
Yeah.
And you've emphasised there that the story and connecting to your story, and that's why Tales to Inspire is so beautiful, is because when people share their own stories, it instantly creates understanding with others. Yeah. And for you build empathy. Yeah. You have empathy for your employees, for what others have gone through and what others may go through.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we live in a world full of sympathy, not necessarily a world full of empathy.
Yeah.
And empathy comes from lived experience. It comes from understanding, it comes from compassion. And what you're representing, going from this massive corporate sector and industry to this, actually it sounds a little bit more like the arts industry. Yeah. You're going into more of a creative side of things, where actually you've gone completely against the world you've just come from.
Yeah, and you throw in, the door gets closed in your face when you do that, doesn't it? We've definitely had corporate clients that wouldn't come near us initially. When you put your story out there and your heart on your sleeve, it was often seen as a weakness, or people would be like, our socials and our story when we started the business was all about our community, who we were helping, what charities we were passionate about. We weren't saying anything about the projects we were working on and the clients we'd sort of managed to attract, because that wasn't important to us. And I think it created a slight backlash, and also it created sort of, maybe our competitors looked at it and thought, hang on, what are Tyler Grange doing? But I liked that. I think the managing director at the time and one of the founders, Simon Ursel, he was very much the opinion, if we're attracting this negativity, he's like, we're doing something right, because people are starting to comment. They don't like it because we're different, and he's like, that's great. And looking back on it now, I'm like, we were winding people up. But then we started to see our competitors all of a sudden start to do more community work, and they were starting to post about volunteering days, and I was like, this is growing. And then that's a great thing to feel, because again, you're like, I can see our industry is changing. But it's, I think we still push that. We going to a 4-day week was the next push for us. It's like, let's go to a 4-day week. It's going to aggravate. It's going to frustrate people, because they're going to look at us and say, well, how have Tyler Grange managed to do a 4-day week and pay people for 5? Maybe it won't succeed. Hope it doesn't succeed. But then we've made it succeed, and now we're getting loads of other businesses talk to us and say, can you come in and talk to us about a 4-day week? How have you made it work? We're really interested about getting that balance. And
so you're not even doing the thing that actually Tyler Grange do. You're coming in talking about actually employee satisfaction and supporting people.
And I think that's really important with any business, is that what you do day to day, your day-to-day business is a part of your job, but actually it's only a part of your job. You have a responsibility to your workforce, your community, your industry, your planet. Do you know what I mean? That's all part of your responsibility. And I think the businesses and individuals that just focus on self and making their business grow, looking after number one, won't thrive. The people that look after everything will thrive, because they'll carry on building networks, they'll carry on looking after other people. I guarantee those people will look after them. I think that whenever we've had really challenging moments as a business, I know that our community and collaborators have definitely come back to help us, and that's because we've built up that trust and relationship. And I think without that, you're going to have a much harder sort of path through business and through life.
So a question I have, like Tyler Grange, what do you actually do. We've talked about supporting the people. So like, if I came to you and I wanted to know what you do and what kind of products you offer, what would that be?
Yeah, simply put, we are a team of environmental consultants, so ecologists, landscape architects and arborists who help people solve a problem in the planning in the planning system. So most people will come to us wanting to build a project, and that might be a house, it might be social housing, it might be a new settlement, it might be renewable energy, a new road, a new warehouse distribution, anything that goes through the planning system. We support that by undertaking the surveys and helping to find a solution, basically, to get it through the planning system so it accords with local and national policy. So that kind of is our job. A lot of it's about communication, because you're trying to take your client basically through the process, convincing them why they've got to spend money on all these surveys. Historically, the stuff we look after environmentally was obviously known as the fluffy stuff, so trees, landscape, animals. Clients would see it as a blocker, as a problem. So it's for us now to tell the story of how it shouldn't be seen as a problem, is how you can use that to get through the planning system to end up with a development at the end of the day that's better for the people that live in it and ultimately better for the planet. And that's our job. And it's difficult because it's a balance. You're trying to balance progress with also protecting the planet and everything that lives on it, and that's a difficult story to tell to other people, particularly communities who often don't like change. So yeah.
So how do you go from 3 people with a business like that to scale into where are you at right now?
We're about 90 at the moment, so yeah, 7 offices across the UK and 90 people, and then we've probably got a sub-consultant network which we call TG Partners of about another 150 people. So yeah, we're pretty, and there's no massive plan for that. I mean, what we've always done as a business is get input from people outside, from all different sectors, from sport, business, healthcare, to try and influence our business and how we grew. So from day one, we had interactions with a clinical psychologist, Dr. Susan Brown. We've used Russell Earnshaw, Rusty, who's runs something called the Magic Academy. He's an ex-rugby professional. We worked with a chap called, what's his name? A chap called David Day. He had been in business all his life. He was in his 80s, and we brought him in, and he was like, right, I'll just tell you all the stuff that I got wrong when I was a CEO, and we can see if we can start Tyler Grange off on the right footing. And those people helped us grow the business in a sort of more organic way. So one of the things he said to us was like, to attract good people, you need trust and you need flexibility. So he was like, if somebody good comes to you and they're in a location that they like, he's like, don't try and force them to move and work in a way which suits you. Get them to work the best way they can, where they want to be, and your business will grow. And he was totally right. And then it was also to maintain your sort of small company sort of culture. About 20 people in an office is that perfect size of interaction between humans. He's like, there's PhD studies galore on it. And we were like, yeah, that sounds about right. So we started to be like maybe 20 people in an office, find good people, base offices where they are. And that's then how we grew. And people started to really respond to that, because we weren't saying you need to come and work in London and this is your team. We were like, where are you based? Yeah, it sounds nice. We will open a small office there. And literally that was the way we started to grow. And we went from, we started on a real budget. We were back bedrooms. I was working out of home. The 3 other guys were down the Cotswolds in a converted police station. We literally still had the cells in it. And we started very small. And then we had like ex-colleagues started to come to us saying, we like what you're doing. And yeah, we just grew it organically that way. And then really trusted people to develop their own careers.
So it's kind of when I think of a 90-person business, I think wow, where do I even begin with that? But I assume it's grown organically, that if you tried to plan that at the beginning, 14 years ago, you'd have been like, no way. But it's grown organically on top of each other, incrementally, that you've been able to manage it. And what role do you kind of oversee now?
Well, like you say, it's been, we could never have written down where we are now. I wouldn't have believed it. My role's changed from being a founder to having various leadership roles, to going from sort of leading our landscape team to then leading our sales efforts. Then I created a people, places and purpose team, which I led. And then ultimately this year I've become managing director because Simon's moved to chair. We've just shifted things around. But, you know, in all honesty, for most of the history of the business, we kind of all did everything. We just got stuck in, and we were very flat in our structure. So, you know, we always said whoever was speaking in the room or whoever had the best idea in the room was the most important person in our business. It was like you've got to listen. That's what I've learned, is feedback and listening to everybody who joined your business was the way to grow and evolve it. And we still do that now. As we've got bigger, we've had to put in a bit of structure and roles. A lack of role descriptions at some point were causing more tension because people weren't quite sure what they had to do. Yeah. So we've put in a bit more, but there's still a load of flexibility. You know, we've got a great business where we can, you know, people can come with ideas and we'll run with them. And I think that's really exciting. And I think what's helped us is staying really true to our values. We always were really clear what our values were when people joined. We were like, this is what motivates us. These are our values. If you feel that aligns, then you'll probably get on really well here. Even for people that didn't necessarily align with them, we were like, okay, come in and let's, you know, challenge it, see what you can bring. And again, that's been really healthy for us. And trying to recruit on values rather than technical ability is a big lesson for us. So we quite quickly realised that CVs are pretty standard. Everyone's bringing in the same CVs. You had a really formal interview. People are joining you. 2 months later, it's like, not really. It's not really gelling. It didn't feel right. So let's change it. Let's get people to come in. People bring 5 photographs from their life and spend an hour talking about their life. And we got so much more from the person. There would be laughter, there would be tears, there would be a sense of understanding what someone wanted out of their life. And then we could recruit on that really well. And again, you know, we got to the point now where we've got like a 2% flight risk of people leaving because we've used our values to attract people who just want to stay. And they know what we are. They know that they can go wherever they want with us. And it means people don't have to look for another job if they're happy. So, you know, for me that's a sign of success. And I think even when we get it wrong, people that haven't enjoyed Tyler Grange, again we've helped them leave. So we've created something called a dream catcher, which means people can say what their ultimate goal in life is. And for some people, that's been helping them get out of our business because they've been like, actually, I don't want to be an ecologist sitting at a desk. They're like, I just want to go and, you know, we had one guy wanting to surf, and we're like, well, let's get you to the point where you can surf. And I love that. You know, we've worked with him to get him out of the business, to set up as a sole trader so he can now work and surf. And he's the happiest man I know because we helped him get to the point in life where he wanted to get. And if we'd made him stay, he would have left and he would have been unhappy. And, you know, our reputation would have suffered for that. So I think, yeah, look for those different ways of interacting with people. And I think, again, yeah, you'll have you'll have a happier and healthier business.
Before we get into the quick fire round and go into the next stage of this chat, I want to just ask about sacrifices. Mm-hmm. So when I automatically think of someone who's started a business 14 years ago, now got 7 offices, 90 employees, 150 possible associates who support and work with you, did you have to make quite a lot of sacrifices to get to that point? And if so, what were those sacrifices you had to make?
It's a good question, actually, and a difficult question, because it changes, doesn't it, with time? I think looking back now, I'd say I probably did at times, and actually it probably was time that I sacrificed. I think I put a lot of time and energy into my business and into other people.
That would have been spent with family, partners?
Yeah, probably, I didn't... my wife now, we married 5 years ago. I met like 7 years ago. We met late in life, and that was probably because I had a relationship that failed, which I probably didn't put enough time and effort into, in all honesty. Moving away from home, where my parents and my brothers and sisters still live in the Midlands, whereas I went to university and then moved up north with work. I do deal with that constant conflict of, I should have spent more time with them. I should have been there for them if my path had taken a different route. So there still is a lot of guilt and a lot of what ifs, and I've worked on that with our clinical psychologist and through mindfulness. I've used techniques to go right to that and say, why am I questioning that? But yeah, there is a sense of there's things I probably could have done or would have done differently. But actually, I also see it as a privilege. It's like the things I had to sacrifice are a privilege because I've ended up where I am now. And if I hadn't, I wouldn't have been here. I wouldn't have met the people I've met. I wouldn't be doing this today. I wouldn't have met you. It's like this, it's the sliding doors thing, isn't it? It's like it's an actual privilege for the sacrifices I've made, because it's resulted in this. But I think I do wish I'd been more honest. I think that's the one thing I would say to everyone is the honesty at every step of your life will make it better. So there's times where I'd probably put the team first and the business first, where actually it needed to have been me, or it needed to have been my family. Even last year, I got diagnosed with a malignant melanoma last year. I got stage 2 skin cancer. Pretty much in the very moment I was told that, I was trying to manage a situation with a client and with someone in the team, and just did that and went straight into I'll fix the business thing first and then I'll worry about me second. And the only way I could deal with that is afterwards was saying to everyone, don't do that. After being stupid this week, I found out this, and at exactly the same moment I did this. And I was like, that was totally wrong. I should have gone straight home to my wife and to my family and said, I found out this news today. It's not great. It's going to be all right. And just spent time processing it, but I didn't. I went straight into looking after something else. But maybe, do we all do that to some extent? We all deflect. We all like to look away from maybe the immediate problem in front of us sometimes.
And when I played football, there was this terminology that they used to say, don't be an ostrich, don't put your head beneath the sand, and just that's what I think, especially as males as well. I want to just get my head down and get on with it. I don't want to think or process about what that is, but it is a really difficult trait to...
It is, but I think the response to that is to go do the opposite, actually go all out there. What I ended up doing with my cancer diagnosis was working with a denim company, who are another company I know down in Wales. So Hyatt Denim, I asked if I could get a bespoke pair of jeans made, and I created a Save Your Skin campaign, and I put a QR code on the leather patch on the back of jeans, so you can donate and scan and understand the story about that I'd been on, basically. So I publicised that and started to raise funds just in a different way. I was like, I want to draw awareness to it and a conversation in a different way, and people would ask, why have you got a QR code on your jeans? And they'd never done that before. Another jeans manufacturer had never done it, and they're like, I'm not sure if the technology is going to work. But they tried it and the QR code still worked. And then again, that's pushed me out of my comfort zone to tell people and then talk about it in a slightly more fun, creative way.
I've never seen these jeans, but if I ever do see a QR code on someone's backside, I will be like that with my phone.
Does look
for the right reasons, though.
It looks slightly dodgy, Admittedly, T-shirt might have been better.
So with the regards to the cancer, where are you at with that?
Yeah, it got removed. It was discovered early, and I acted quickly. So yeah, again, amazing NHS experience where they just looked after me, and now I know I'm susceptible, but they monitor me, and just part of my life now is to just keep an eye on it and be sensible, and bore other people with it. Be sensible. Use SPF when you're outside.
As much as, but even when it is cloudy.
yeah, exactly.
So, how do people find out about yourself and Tyler Grange? Or, are you on socials, website? How do people?
Yeah, everything. So we've got our own website, www.tylergrange.co.uk. We're on LinkedIn. We're on socials, Instagram, and you'll find us. We're quite good at putting out blogs and informations and socials, so search for Tyler Grange and you will find us. There's one American baseball player that was called Tyler Grange, which we didn't realise, so sometimes he intervenes if you he's a good supporter of ours and we're a supporter of his, but if you search Tyler Grange environmental, you'll generally find us and what we're all about.
Okay, you don't want the baseball player doing your landscaping for you, and doing your surveys.
Again, he might be better than us.
Well, and you don't want you guys playing baseball anyway.
Yeah, no, definitely not me. Not with my mediocre sports skills.
At least you're not going to get someone terrible, that's all I can say. So, let's go into the quick fire questions. So the way this is going to work, John, is I'm going to ask a question.
Ready?
Or start a sentence, you're going to finish that sentence. You do not have to explain anything about it. We're just going to go straight to the next one. Okay. Sound all right?
Ready.
Let's do this. Life is about
people.
Being an entrepreneur.
Opportunities.
Being part of a family can.
Be the most humbling thing that you can experience.
Work should.
Fulfill your whole life, not just your business life.
True health is
being honest with yourself and finding the right balance.
If you could give your advice to your 21-year-old self, that advice would be?
Pursue your dream, because only you are the one that can make that dream come true.
That, by the way, that's amazing. That is not scripted, by the way. I love that. How much of where you're at right now is due to luck, and how much of it is due to hard work?
There is a degree of both, actually. I think it is 50-50. I've had moments in life of pure chance and pure luck, but I don't know, the old cliche, you do make it. The fact I'll go out there and pursue things means that luck happens. So the way I met you is by spotting your Tales to Inspire session. I knew someone else that was going, but actually I just saw it, I liked it, and immediately I was like, I'm going to meet one person there probably that will make my life better. I don't know who it would be. I didn't know whether it would be you or someone else in that room, but by doing that, already in the space of a couple of months, I've met other people, I've met you, I've had the opportunity to do this. And that's like, if you keep doing that in life, amazing stuff's going to happen. So just experiences, just experience everything.
If there was 3 things that the world in which you live could be changed, what would those 3 things be?
The big one for me is kindness. We need to treat kindness as a priority. Kindness spreads kindness. It's the butterfly effect. It's the thing that changes everything in life, whether it's for other humans, whether it's for nature. It spreads good things. It's so important. And I think we've forgotten how to be kind to each other, whether that's being honest and kind or just kind. The amount of people that I see that forget to say thank you for the simplest of things, and that thank you would have made a big difference to someone else's day. So that's a real basic for me. One of them is definitely kindness. One of them is, or I guess the second one is trust. I think, again, we've forgotten to trust the people around us. I've definitely been a blocker at times in my business where I've just wanted to control everything, and then actually I guess it's almost making yourself redundant in your business to trust other people to do a better job than you. And they respond with loyalty because you give them trust, and they will thrive because you give them trust. So that's definitely a big one for me. And then the other one, I guess, is I think it's gratitude, actually. It's that reflection of everyone in every day that has got you where you are. Definitely for me, from a health and educational perspective, like without those people in my life, I just wouldn't be here and wouldn't have the career I have. So yeah, gratitude. Again, I know that there's a correlation with kindness, but it's slightly wider to me, as much as like it interacts with all aspects of your life. I say to everyone now, get to the end of your day and just reflect. Do that gratitude reflection at the end of the day. Who do you need to say thank you to for today? Like what all the things that you've experienced, from the person that's made this table, from the person that's made my lunch, to the fact that I left the house in a mess this morning and my wife's probably tied it up by the time I get home. It's like there's that gratitude, and I think we're often too busy or too onto the next thing to just stop and reflect.
The power of the present is a special thing. To be as present as we can is so important. So you passed the quick fire questions.
They were difficult.
Flying colours. So before we go to the final two questions that I've asked every Tales to Inspire ambassador, over 150 people since we first started in 2019. I just want to say thank you, mate.
Thank you.
You talked about being grateful. I am massively grateful for you. We met at our Tales to Inspire live event. I had no idea who each other were, and touched base and been for a coffee and started to get to know each other. And I just think you're really, really cool.
No, likewise. Thanks for giving people the opportunity to tell their stories, because stories are life, aren't they? And
it is.
Yeah, it's a privilege and an honour to do it. So yeah, thanks.
Oh, mate, you're very welcome, and hopefully we'll see where this journey goes, mate. I don't think this is going to be the end of this. So my final two questions I ask every Tales to Inspire ambassador. So Jon Berry, what is your definition of the word inspire?
For me, inspire is, I guess the definition of it is to believe in yourself, actually. Because to believe in yourself will inspire others. You're the only person that can tell your story. And actually, that story, whatever it is, whatever individual you are, will be inspiring to someone. So yeah, that belief to me is the ultimate.
I love that. And my final question is, if you were to live your most fulfilled life, you got to, what did we say before, 107 years old, right? And and that diamond jubilee, that diamond anniversary's come through, and you got a message from the king. What is the proudest, biggest impact you want to have achieved during your lifetime?
It's so tough. That's so tough. But I think, it's to remember for being kind, actually. That's it. It's not for any other huge achievement. If somebody said, Jon Berry, he was a kind chap, I'd be so happy with that, more than anything, actually, because it's just, it's more human. So I'd be happy with that.
Jon, thank you so much for being on Tales to Inspire podcast, mate.
Thank you for watching today's episode. If you enjoyed today's episode, then please leave a comment in the comment section below, and we cannot wait to see you for our next episode.